And now I would like to ask Claire Maslin, a second grader from Carlton Fallmore Elementary, to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Claire, are you ready?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated, except for Claire. What a great job, Claire. Can you introduce yourself and tell us who you have with you today? Who's with you? Who came with you?
My name is Claire Maslin, and my Nana, my principal, Miss Dardis, and my mom and my grandpa came with me today.
Wow, awesome. Claire, can you tell me what's your favorite subject in school?
Science.
Ooh, I like that. Good for you. Can you tell us how old you are?
I'm 8 years old.
Wow, and very beautiful, I might add.
Thank you.
And what do you want to be when you grow up?
A National Park Ranger.
Wow. Wow, I wish I knew that when I was in second grade. Yay, awesome. And a little birdie told me that you got a special award at the end of last year. Could you tell us what the name of that award is?
Yes, ma'am. It was the Do the Right Thing Award.
And why did you get that award?
I had 4 candygrams, and there were 4 people in my class who didn't have it, so I gave away my 4 candygrams.
Wow. Give her a round of applause. Wow. You seem like a very bright, sweet young lady, and I hope you have a very blessed holiday season with your family, and thank you so much for being here and for allowing us to get to know a little bit about Claire. So hope you have a great rest of the year at school as well, honey. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. The first item on our agenda is to accept the agenda today. Madam Superintendent, are there any revisions to the agenda as printed?
Madam Chair, there are no revisions this time.
Wow, okay. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the agenda for December 10th, 2019 as printed.
Move for approval.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Townsend?
Yeah, Madam Chair, we discussed this briefly before. There's a thing that I would like to potentially put on the agenda related to Florida School Board Association statement. I'm happy to wait for my comments if it's okay to, but I want to make sure there's some timeliness to it, so it might involve us taking some action. So
Okay.
you'll entertain
do that during your board
Okay,
report.
okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. Any other further discussion? Anyone? Seeing none, I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is our special recognitions. And before I turn it over to Superintendent Byrd, I would like to ask Mr. Lynn Wilson to please stand. Surprise, surprise.
I told you, I like surprise.
Surprise, surprise. So I want to, on behalf of the board, school board members, we would like to give you a plaque in recognition of your outstanding service as our board chair over the past 2 years. We learned so much from you, and you did an awesome job, and I hope I can follow well in your footsteps. Thank you for all that you've done, and have a little something to commemorate your time and effort. I'm not a handshake. You should know better. I'm a hugger. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you want to say a few words?
No, thank you. I said enough.
I've done my time. Now, Mrs. Byrd, would you be so kind and lead us through our special recognitions for today?
Thank you. I would like to ask Beth Cummings, Senior Director of Fine Arts, to come forward to introduce Spessard Holland Elementary Choir for a special holiday musical performance.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Byrd, Madam Chair, and honorable school board members. It is my delight to be able to bring this example of what's going on in Polk County schools every day. There's nowhere you can go. There's probably not one night of the week for the next 2 weeks that there is not some kind of holiday performance going on. And so we wanted to bring a little bit of that joy to you this afternoon. So will you help me welcome, this is the Spessard Singers under the direction of Mr. Luis Rios.
Ring with the harmonies of
while we're getting pictures, we just want to tell you what an awesome job you all have done today. What a great beginning to a very festive holiday season. And you all definitely, I know, put us in the spirit up here. And Mr. Rios, thank you so much for your talent and dedication with these students. And we really appreciate you all being here for us this evening for our meeting. So thank you so much. And go on and have a wonderful, wonderful season. Yes. And this one.
See, you're
This one.
sneaking out.
You are
But
awesome.
such
You
great
are
talent.
awesome. Oh my gosh. That voice, I could listen to her all night. Wow. Really?
Next, I would like to ask School Board Member Kay Fields to step down for special recognitions. At this time, I would like to ask Jessica Anderson, Teacher Resource Specialist for Multiple Pathways Education, to come forward for a recognition of future Farmers of America students. And I did see quite a few of them in the audience tonight.
Good evening, Superintendent Byrd and board members. I'm excited to be here this evening to share with you some really exciting things that our Polk County FFA students have already accomplished. If you guys would just line up right in the front, and as I talk about your event, just step forward, okay? Polk County FFA was well represented at the 2019 National FFA Convention in Indianapolis this past October. The following students earned national recognition, not only for themselves, but for their school, Polk County, and the state of Florida. We're beyond proud of their accomplishments, hard work, and dedication to the National FFA organization, the largest student-run organization in the country. As the highest degree available in the National FFA organization, the American FFA degree shows an FFA member's dedication to his or her chapter and state FFA association. It demonstrates the effort FFA members apply toward their supervised agricultural experience and the outstanding leadership abilities and community involvement they exhibited through their FFA career. The 2019 recipients for Polk County were Miss Kirsten Robbins from Bartow Senior. Kirsten, will you step forward? Thank you. And we also had Blair Buchanan, Autumn Jackson, and Amanda Lawson from Kathleen Senior. Career and leadership development events develop college and career readiness skills. The competitive events serve as an outgrowth of instruction in the agricultural education classroom for FFA members in grades 7 through 12. Through career development events and leadership development events, participating FFA members are challenged to develop critical thinking skills and effective decision-making skills, foster teamwork, and promote communication while recognizing the value of ethical competition and individual achievement. The agricultural technology and mechanical systems earned a silver recognition, Florida did. Those team members were Kyle Adrian, Ronald Abney, Logan Hancock, and Jacob Smith from George Jenkins Senior. Florida's prepared public speaker was Miss Maddie Dvorak from Kathleen Senior, where she earned 5th place in the nation for prepared public speaking. The National FFA Agri-Science Fair recognizes student researchers studying the application of agricultural scientific principles and emerging technologies in agricultural enterprises. In the Food Processing and Products Division, 3rd place in the nation was Lindsay True and Brianna Peacock from Frostproof Senior. In the Animal Science Systems, earning 9th place in the nation, Leah Brown and Sarah True from Frostproof Senior. And in the Environmental Services and Natural Resource Systems, earning bronze recognition was Noah Ogburn and Matthew Haddon from Frostproof Senior. Robbie Belcher from Bartow Senior was a member of the National FFA Band. And Anna Palmer, Brooke Allard, Ellison Saunders, and Annabelle Crandall were all members of the Courtesy Corporation who helped with the operations of the National FFA Convention. Lastly, we would like to say a large thank you to all those teachers and FFA advisors who spent countless hours training and preparing these students to earn this level of achievement. Your efforts do not go unnoticed, and we're proud to have you all represent Polk County Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and we look forward to the youth fair that I know. What date? What's the date on that?
January 24th is when it begins to the 31st.
Okay, January 24th through 31st. We look forward to it. Next, I would like to have Maria Longa, Senior Director of Federal Programs and Grant Management, and Scott Reeves, Senior Coordinator of Support Services, to come forward for the Books on the Bus and Book Vending Machine recognition.
Good evening. Thank you, Superintendent Byrd, school board members, Madam Chair, and guests. It's my pleasure, I'm thrilled actually, to introduce you to and share with you in recognizing April Taylor and Irma for their volunteer work and efforts with Irma's initiatives on the bus and also vending machines. So normally I am helping schools spending Title I funds or other federal funds to instill a love of reading and to help students become better readers. But when April reached out to me and proposed her Irma's Reading on the Bus initiative, I was thrilled because I'm very frugal too. And community partnership and helping us spread the love of reading, there can never be enough books for that. So we already have some initiatives in our district that we're so proud of, like the Books Bridge program and the Read While You Roll initiative. But I'm just thrilled with everything that April has been doing for our district. And I wanted to give her a chance to come and share with everyone what she's been doing. So April, come on up.
This is Irma, everybody. She's the star of the show. Irma is a 8-year-old German Shorthair Pointer who's been a therapy dog for 7 years. And I realized that Irma had a lot of potential, and I have a love of reading. And so when I moved to Polk County 5 years ago, I thought, what can I do? And I reached out and became friends with Kingsford Elementary. And then I became friends with Lewis Anna Woodbury Elementary. And then I started thinking, what can we do? What more can we do? And so the first thing we did is we work with children one-on-one who are struggling and underperforming in reading. They spend time with Irma on a dog bed. They lay down, they read with her. And these children have made huge gains in their reading and their confidence. They're singled out for something positive, not something negative, not being embarrassed to read aloud. They forget I'm there. They're just reading and petting a dog, and they really enjoy it. And we've been doing that for 4 years. And then we started, I asked my husband if I could have a book vending machine for my birthday, my anniversary, Christmas, whatever. And he said, oh, well, that's really what you want, sure. And so we put in a special book vending machine with Mid-Florida. They donated some money as well. And that book vending machine won't stay at one school. It will travel all over the county, and every school will have a chance to get to have the vending machine at least for 2 months. And I will help provide books. It holds 230 books. So I will provide books, new books to go in all those vending machines with the help of the school community. And my big thing is Irma's Books on the Bus, and we are kicking that off on Monday. I've procured 16,000 children's books and 400 containers to go on all Title I elementary schools. They've been handpicked by me. I made sure that they were books that the kids would want to read. And some of the books aren't as exciting as others. They're not all Captain Underpants. So some of the nonfiction books will have a gift certificate to McDonald's for a hamburger or an ice cream cone. And so if you pick up a book on sea urchins, you might, win a prize. And we're very excited to do this program. Doing the math, since we have about 400 buses and 400 containers, and how many months there are in a year, we could run this program for 33 years without the children ever having a repeat of one single book. Obviously, there's wear and tear, but we hope that this becomes a program. The children get involved. They actually have librarians, so each child on the bus becomes a librarian, and they take care of the books and make sure that when they're done, they move on to another bus. And so hopefully we'll move that on to the next county, and we're just trying to find more ways to do something great in Polk County and have a lot of readers. And we enjoy the schools. They're wonderful, and the staff and the administrators are wonderful. So thank you, because it's the best thing I get to do every day. So we appreciate it.
And I just want to close with real quick, no good effort happens without a lot of collaboration, and Scott Reeves wasn't able to be here today, but the Transportation Department has just been phenomenal in actually making this idea take off, because it sounds simple, but it's a lot of books, it's a lot of bins, it's a lot of buses, and Scott has just been fabulous in making this take off, so really want to recognize him and his efforts as well. And the day after our Thanksgiving break, we were at Kingsford, right? Yes. And just the excitement in that auditorium and that cafeteria from the kids about the possibility of getting a book, I mean, there's nothing better. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
And while you're taking your picture, thank your husband as well for us.
Yes.
I think Irma is posing for her
She
picture.
is. Look at her. She's so good.
My husband did graduate from Cleveland Court, so.
Oh,
Wonderful.
thank you, and Merry Christmas to you. Madam Chair, this concludes your special recognitions for today.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. The next item is public comments on agenda items. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward to speak to an item that is currently on our agenda today? Yes, Mr. Milhorn, please come forward. Please state your name, address, and affiliation for the record, and you have 3 minutes
Larry
to
Milhorn,
speak.
President of AFSCME Local 2227. Tonight on your agenda, you're going to vote on our ratification of our 3 contracts. I just wanted everybody to know that it took a long time to get to this agreement. We're not 100% happy with it, but we know with the budget and all, we had really no other way to go but to protect our health plan for our employees. I'm never happy when our employees doesn't get a raise or their step movement, but we looked at the budget, PEA looked at the budget, and we came together to see that there was nothing else we could do right now. But I urge this board to start looking into our steps, putting them back for our employees that earn them. It's not something we're giving them. They earn these steps. They need to make sure that we get our steps each year when they're due. It needs to be budgeted. It doesn't need to be something I have to go to the bargaining table and ask for. Because I shouldn't be asking for a step for somebody that earned it. They do everything that this board asks them to do. And because our state legislature doesn't fund it and we don't budget it, they do without things that they earn. I'm not saying every employee earns them, but I'll tell you most of our employees do. And I'm talking from our teachers to our food nutritionists or custodial staff. Everybody earns these things. It's not given to them. But we did come to an agreement with the district, and I want to thank the district staff for working with us and coming to this agreement. But I do want to let you know the employees, the morale is low because no raises, no steps. And it will probably stay low until we start fixing some of these problems. And I know Tallahassee has to be some of the people that help us fix it. And when we go back into negotiation this year, I hope the budget looks better. And if it don't, I hope we seriously talk about the one meal. We got to do something for these employees. We're losing employees fast. I got 13 people in maintenance. We're having trouble keeping up that we don't have. 6 electricians. People don't understand what that means, but 6 electricians in this district, that's almost catastrophic to keep our schools going. So we need to do something. And I hope we find a way to do it next year. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Sure, come on down.
Okay. Hello. Hello, everybody. A lot of you know me, a lot of you don't. I'm Matt Ager, A-G-E-R. I'm a painter at a C1 shop out of Bartow. I'm also on the executive board of ASME 2227. This year I was on the negotiating committee for what we call the Green Book, maintenance, warehouse, and custodians mainly. Brought you a little visual today. They don't even know it. If you look around, you got white shirts in this room. You see the white shirts? Plus mine. We're missing one man. You couldn't make it tonight. That's 5. For visual so you can see it, that's the entire repaint crew for the Pope County School Board that are responsible for regular maintenance, scheduled repainting over the 160 plus facilities. Okay, so I understand working shorthanded, working with limited resources, but Tom's our assistant paint foreman. You know what they tell him? Get it done. It doesn't matter. We're supposed to get our jobs done. We understand. We know what being short is. But we are speaking about the negotiations and the ratification and the contract you folks are going to be voting on in a little bit. Starting mid-November, or mid-October to now, it's been a very hard time for me because it's my responsibility. People ask me, what do we get? Guess what we got? Nothing. Nothing. It's Christmas time. Christmas is coming up, and it hasn't been totally approved yet, so it's not official yet. But we go on Christmas break in less than 2 weeks. So my 2 weeks going into Christmas, I'm going to be saying Merry Christmas. They're going to say, what do you got? What do we get? You're Mr. Negotiator. Empty stocking. We don't even get coal. We get nothing. It's an empty stocking. Prices of everything have gone up. Housing has gone up. Food has gone up. Gasoline has gone up. Everything goes up. The cost of living rises and rises and rises. Our resources shrink, shrink, shrink. And what do we get? Merry Christmas. Here's your empty stocking. Now, I understand this year's done. We saw the numbers. We've seen we can't pull any rabbits out of the hats this year. But you know what happens a year from now? I plan on staying with the union. I plan on being on the negotiating committee again. And next year, We do not want an empty stocking. And we're not gonna be passive. This year, we're very passive. I'll give Larry so much credit for keeping people calm. But next year, it's not gonna be a passive, we're gonna lay down and take it. And I just wanna let you go now, so we have plenty of room to work together an entire year. So that being said, have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir, and you too. Anyone else like to come forward?
Evening, folks.
Good evening.
Keith Lightsey, C1 Shop Painter also. I spoke with y'all a couple months ago. I'm here to reference the step raises. I think you call them levels now. I watched, I believe it was a couple of months ago, y'all had a board meeting work session. Don't watch it all. Sometimes on our lunch break, I try to catch them and keep up with things. And I noticed that in the work session, we was talking about IT folks. A lot smarter than me, I understand that. I'm just a worker, work with my hands. I've been working with my hands my whole life. But it was such reference that, how do we keep them here? What do we have to do to keep our IT people here? I just want to say, please look at us. Maybe we're small on the food chain. Maybe we're just workers. And I've heard the expression my whole life, you're a dime a dozen. You here today, gone tomorrow. We want to be noticed for more than that. The beautiful program we had tonight, children done awesome. I'm doing great. The young little girl that done the Pledge of Allegiance, awesome. You could tell that she's had some very good upbringing, very good teachers, very good administrators. And what I want to say tonight is that we need to consider, when I go home sometimes and stress of life has worn me down, my wife don't work, she's a stay-at-home mother. Thank God my kids are almost grown. Praise the Lord, they've done really good for themselves. Proud of them. But when I go home sometimes depressed because maybe something happens at work, didn't get a raise this year, honey, you know what, I'll just work harder on the side. I shared that with y'all last time, how a lot of us work on the side. I sometimes don't say that because I hate to take my problems home and drain my wife and kids. But you know what happens? They feed off of what's going on with me. So what I want to say is the low morale that we have with our teachers, with our hard workers. I don't want to leave none out. Warehouse custodians, maintenance folks. You know what? The kids are going to feed off of that. Eventually, it's gonna trickle down to our children, just like it does, even though we don't mean it to. You know what? When you see teachers going through the hallway and they're supposed to be on lunch, but they have to deal with an irate parent, or they have to make a phone call, that's not fair to them. They don't get a break. Maintenance gets an hour of lunch. So when I see these teachers pulling money out of their own pocket, pulling money out of their own pocket so that they can provide for their children. That's love for children. So what I'm asking the board tonight is that somehow when something's broke, you got to fix it. You can drive your car all day long, but when them warning lights come on, you better pay attention. I had a car one time and the light went on. I thought if you just keep putting water, it'll be all right. You know what happened? The heads blowed. It cost me $2,000 to get my car fixed. You know what's going to happen to our beautiful school board with all the beautiful people that work here if we don't fix this problem? It's going to be destroyed. We got something good going here. Beautiful people, beautiful workers, great staff, great bosses tonight. But we got to figure out somehow to fix the problem where morale comes up and where our children can just keep exceeding and being great. I don't know how we do it. That's why y'all are sitting up there and I'm just a worker. But I'm just asking you tonight, please look at us also. I don't have a college education, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep our schools going. Thank you for your time. Merry Christmas. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Lightsey. And I assure you that you are not important. I assure you, you are part of the team. We each have a different role to play, and you are part of that. And yes, we're very cognizant of the financial implications this year, but I promise you that we as a board are going to work very diligently this coming year to see what we can do to help everybody, not just one group, one department. It would be a blessing to be able to have raises across the board, steps, whatever we can afford to do. So we hear you loud and clear, everyone who has come and spoken tonight. So thank you. Thank you for sharing how you feel. And I do wish you and yours a Merry Christmas, Mr. Lightsey. Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward and speak?
I'll just tell you that right now.
That's
Appreciate being
okay.
here. Good evening. My name is Leslie Shelton. I'm here on behalf of my son. He's a student, senior at Central Florida Aerospace
Is this
Academy.
got to do with something that we're voting on the agenda?
No, but I'm on the agenda. I put myself on the agenda yesterday.
Okay, so
Comes at
that
the
would
end.
be at the end. There's two different times
Okay.
for public
I'll see you in a-
speaking.
okay.
So if you'd be so kind and just give us a few minutes, as soon as we get through our regular agenda, then I'll be calling folks up for other items. Thank you so much for your understanding. I appreciate it. All right, anyone else want to come forward to speak to an item that's on the agenda that we are voting on tonight? Okay, seeing none, we shall proceed. Board members, now we need to approve the minutes for the November 12th, 2019 board meeting. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the November 12th, 2019 school board meeting minutes as printed. Do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. The next item is the new administrator announcements. Mrs. Byrd, do we have any announcements today?
There are no new administrators today.
Today present. Okay, then we shall proceed. The next item is approval of the consent agenda for December 10th, 2019. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the December 10th, 2019 consent agenda as printed.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Fortney.
Yes, I just want to bring up the concern that I had on item C26 about the class sizes, and I having a hard time explaining myself.
It's not on consent.
It's on the regular agenda.
Is it?
Pulled.
Oh, it pulled. Thank you. Never mind.
Okay, is there anybody else who, that's okay. Anybody else want to make a comment before we vote? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Okay, now we come to our regular agenda. Under Administration School Board, item R27, appointment to the Polk County Value Adjustment Board. Each December, the school board elects a liaison and an alternate to represent them on the Polk County Value Adjustment Board. The chair will entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Lynn Wilson as the district's liaison to the Polk County Value Adjustment Board and Billy Townsend as the alternate.
Move for approval.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Reynolds.
I just wanted to comment, since you said that that's the motion you would call for, that we discussed it in the work session. That's not Lori saying that those are who will be. So if you want to see the full discussion on how we came to that, is at the work session.
Is at the work session. Thank you so much, Ms. Reynolds. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Next, we have our appointment to the Polk Vision Board. Each December, the school board elects a liaison to represent them on the Polk Vision Board of Directors. And we did have discussion in work session today, so the chair will entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Lynn Wilson as the district's liaison to the Polk Vision Board of Directors.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimously. Under Facilities and Operations, General Items, Architectural Services, we have item R-29. Approve a contract with Parlier and Cruz Architects in the amount of $395,280 for project number C-00314, Ben Hill Griffin Elementary 26 Classroom Edition. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those approve, nay. Motion carries. Under Facilities and Operations, General Items, Construction Services is item R-30, approval of the pre-construction services fee of $40,000, and for the superintendent and Facilities and Operations staff to review and approve A.D. Morgan Corporation's guaranteed maximum price. This is for Bartow Senior High School's Master Plan Phase 2 Construction Management Contract. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously.
I just want to thank Ms. Usher for Phase 2 and Superintendent Byrd. That's all.
Sorry I didn't see it. Yeah, kick harder. Number 4, under Facilities and Operations, General Items, Planning and Concurrency, we have item R31, approval of Tampa Electric Company's request for a 15-foot easement along the school board's property on Cunningham Road. No relation to me. The purpose for the easement is to run underground electric and above-ground transformers for the development of the area. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. The next item, under Human Resources Services Annual Items, approval of the ratified ASME Local 2227 collective bargaining agreements and salaries for the 2019-2020 and the 2020 health plan. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Fortney.
Yes, I'll never understand why we do not have steps at the beginning of our budget process. I will never understand that. And when we hire somebody and we use it as a tool to hire them, and then we don't follow through with it, it makes us all kind of not look real good. Mr. Lightsey, I loved your analogy, where are you, of the warning light on the dash. It's hard to fix it when it's running down the road, though. It's got to be pulled over at some point in time. And I will not be voting for this, just as a statement. I mentioned it today in the work session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fortney. Mr. Townsend?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for negotiations under difficult circumstances. The way this works, the superintendent's team and the union team get together and agree on what the amount of money there is, and then they decide to divide that up in a certain kind of way. And this year we have focused on healthcare entirely, and something I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. That's there's some talk, and it depends on what the form takes of increased money from Tallahassee for salaries this year. That's not really the governor's plan, but there is some legislative talk about it, and I think it'll be important for us to make it clear that we're looking for salary help across the board for everybody from Tallahassee. I mean, the Florida economy is supposedly booming. It's not booming for our education employees, not booming for our teachers, not booming for our kids, for the most part. So we have to make sure that we're delivering the right kind of pressure and advocacy where we can deliver it. So, but again, I thank you guys for working collaboratively and swallowing a tough deal. I know it was tough. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
The motion carries 6-1. Okay, now it is time for our public hearing. I would like to, did I miss one?
The one I tried to get earlier.
C26. Oh, yes. Under Teaching and Learning General, item C26, recommend approval of class size increase, kindergarten through third grade to 21, fourth through eighth grade to 25, and ninth through 12th grade to 30 for Survey 3. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, Ms. Miller.
I think if you watch the work session, you can see the discussion on this. This has to be done every year in order for new students moving into the area. We have classrooms that are at capacity now and schools that are at capacity. So my concern is that we provide support for these classrooms that we are moving students into. And I think that discussion was made earlier. So we have to vote for this to allow that space to be given for new students moving in. But we need to be mindful of the support needed for those kinds of class sizes.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Ms. Fortney?
Well, I challenge anybody to manhandle and gather up. It's like herding cats, like second graders, third graders, like 25 of them in one spot. It takes a master teacher to handle these class sizes. And as I said in the work session today, our kids have special needs, not ESE needs, but special needs. Some of them traumatized, some live in poverty. It's just in every row of kids you have these needs. And I understand why we have to do it. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it. But just want the teachers and the paras and the administrators to know that if you reach out, because if you have something that's not manageable, Dr. Akes has worked very well with his area superintendents to try to take that one classroom at a time. So please reach out. Thank you.
Ms. Byrd?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to make sure that we let the public know this is for flexibility, and it's only occurring after Survey 3, which is our October survey. So it's only for flexibility, not saying it's mandated, it's moving tomorrow to those numbers, but it is to give us the flexibility.
Thank you, Ms. Byrd. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Now it is time for our public hearing. I would like to recess the school board meeting and open up the public hearing. At this time, I would like to call the public hearing for December 10th, 2019 to order. Now we have item R33, policy updates. Item number 5330, the use of medications and treatments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward to address this item on our public hearing agenda today? If so, please come forward. Okay, seeing no one, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Townsend.
Just recapping with folks, we discussed this a little bit last work session. This is essentially the medical marijuana policy. We're up against something of a deadline, right? We have to get this out. It's been broadly what it says is that you can that caregivers are allowed to provide medical marijuana at schools under certain specific circumstances. Our employees are not allowed to. Is that correct?
That is
right?
correct.
But there was if they were a parent. Right? Yeah. I would like in the future for us to look into a potential opt-in for our folks to be able to do it if there are any of our folks who are okay with the risk, just because I think, it's just like any other medication, and we're sort of treating it differently because of the Schedule 1 issue with the federal government, things like that. So it's a reasonable start. I think there are things we can do it to make it a little more professional and accommodating to people who really need it, and there are some people who really need it. So just wanted to recap that for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. This time, I would like to close the public hearing and reconvene the school board meeting. The next item is our superintendent's report. Mrs. Byrd, do you have an update for us today?
I do. I first would like to wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. This is our only meeting for this month prior to us going on break. Today we celebrated with some pre-K students and Head Start students from Juanita Elementary School, 3 and 4-year-olds. You can learn a lot from children just about being kind and being thankful. So I just would like to say to everyone, when you see the smiles of children and you see what they really, really want, they just want kindness and have everyone to be thankful. So I remind us as we're going into this season, make sure you create memories with your families and your friends. Make sure you share those moments. And remember, a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old can teach us all a whole lot. And it's about being kind and thankful. Our next work session will be held on Tuesday, January 14, 2020, at 9 a.m. in the Superintendent's Large Conference Room located at 1915 South Floral Avenue, Bartow, Florida. The next work session will also be held Tuesday, January 28, 2020 at 12:30 p.m. in the Superintendent's Large Conference Room, followed by the board meeting at 5 p.m. in the auditorium located at 1915 South Floral Avenue, Bartow, Florida. This concludes my announcements, my report for this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Byrd. Do we have a
Madam Chair, I'd
returnees?
just like to wish everyone a happy holiday, each according to their tradition.
Awesome. Aren't you kind? Thank you so much. And Ms. Matthews has indicated we do not have an auditor's report today. So that moves us down to our board member reports. Let's change it up a little bit. Ms. Miller, we would love to hear from you.
How convenient.
Am I in trouble?
Would it offend anybody if I ran to the restroom real quick?
If I what?
If I ran to the restroom real
You can
real
leave
quick,
during my report. It's totally
Go ahead,
fine.
Ms. Miller. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I don't think you have to announce it.
I don't think you,
Just go.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, hall pass.
Oh,
That's
my
it.
goodness. Okay, back to our
Yes, Ms.
reports.
Miller, yes, please.
I just want to remind people that the work session is full of great information. We had an update from the behavior team that's been put together. We have a crisis with behavior, not only in this district, but across the state, and that involves supports and how we identify. And our district has put together a team to tackle that. And so their first report was today, so I want to thank that team. But I want to encourage the public to watch that work session for not only that, but for other information. I've been doing a lot of school visits, and I appreciate the opportunity to actually talk to staff and administrators in those sites to see what the real needs are. And during the holiday break, I just want people to be aware that we have a lot of students who go home to not much, including food and things. So I want to encourage people to check on their neighbors or check on, the churches and really put in the effort to help. We're in a very rural county, and parts of it, if you don't live it or know it, it's very low socioeconomic, and we need help. And doing that is by talking to your neighbors and lending a hand. So I think for the holiday, that's my message, that remember the kids who, without Kids Pack and without people checking on them, have zero. And that's what I think about when I go home and leave them during that break. Again, I want to thank Mr. Wilson for his term, and our new chairperson who decided to start a tradition of fellowship between the board and staff. And I think we had a great time this afternoon. Ms. Cunningham, I appreciate you doing that. It showed that, even all these strong personalities in one room can definitely have that likeness and common to get together and talk about what we do have together in common and when we're moving forward. So I appreciate Ms. Cunningham and her efforts. Our office was turned into a winter wonderland, and we had a gift exchange, and it was fun, and that's I hope we can continue those kinds of traditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Ms. Fields?
Yes, thank you. I have a couple of items. In our last board meeting, I had mentioned that Otis Anthony, who was our first senior director for our diversity division, had passed away. And it was a celebration of his life. on Sunday in Tampa at Howard W. Blake High School, and Polk County Public Schools was well represented. It was a beautiful ceremony, and we want to honor Mr. Anthony for his hard work, not just in the Polk County Public School area, but also in Tampa and the surrounding areas. He was very well respected, and the service was very touching and very beautiful. And then I think 3 of us were able to attend the Davenport High School groundbreaking, and that was exciting. And I want to give a shout out to Ms. Usher and her staff for doing such a great job. And the community is very excited about all the great things that's happening in the Davenport area. So that was a good way to start a week. And I learned on yesterday, I believe, or Monday, that we have lost two amazing people who have impacted our county, and specifically the Lake Wells community, and that would be Wanda Howard. And also today I learned that David Junebug Smith passed away. And these folks have been very positive, and they worked extremely hard trying to make our community better. And they would be, both of them would be sorely missed. And I am sure that we'll be hearing more about the funeral arrangements of both of them. But I want to say to their families that we are going to be in prayer with you, and that we appreciate all that both of these wonderful people have done to make our community and our county better. And then the last thing that I would just say is wishing everyone a Merry Christmas and a great New Year, and enjoy the time away if you have that opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fields. Ms. Reynolds?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week I had the opportunity to attend the FSBA conference, which was kicked off with our Board of Directors and Legislative Affairs meeting. But there was a lot of different sessions on different things that are happening around the state. A couple that I went to, Orange County did one on their Education Foundation and some of the different innovative ways that they're getting people into the schools, which I've shared a couple of the flyers with Ms. Bird for things that we may be able to copy from some of our surrounding districts that they're doing really well rather than reinvent the wheel. Thursday evening, I got the chance to attend the Lake Alfred Polytech Winter Concert, which was their band, orchestra. It was every music that they have. They have all new music teachers this year, so it was the first time one is completely new to teaching. The other came from one of our other middle schools, and it was incredible. They went back and forth they started with the beginning band, went to the chorus, then did the jazz band. They now have a drum line, which is really loud but really cool. They actually did it in 2 separate sections because she was afraid that we wouldn't be able to handle the whole drum line at the same time. But they did an incredible job, and they had a huge turnout. They, even 20 minutes in, were still trying to figure out how to add more tables and chairs because the cafeteria was packed. I really hope our fire marshal isn't listening because it was really crowded. And then also, as Ms. Field mentioned, the groundbreaking for the new high school was such an exciting time for not only to see the Davenport area there, but also some of our surrounding principals and the support in the community, not just from those who will be attending that school, but also the administrators in the surrounding area. And I believe that is, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and a Happy New Year, and look forward to seeing you after the break.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. And next we have Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And very simply, I would just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season, and just encourage everyone to keep in mind all those folks who are less fortunate than many of us during this special time of the year, and do what we can to help them out as well. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Ms. Fortney?
Yes, Miss Wanda Fay Howard was a dear friend of mine. I'm hoping that we can work with the Lake Wales NAACP and set up some sort of scholarship fund in her memory. That is my goal. It was very sad. I did not get a chance to bring up a couple of things in the work session today. I'm still curious as to where we are with naming the health clinic in Lakeland after Marianne Capizzello. Also, I learned that Jason Pitts is no longer going to be employed with our district, which to me is a huge loss. I'm going to miss and thank him for his presentations that he went out in the community and presented. I know we cannot close the district on January 13th and 14th, but I will not be present on the 14th, the work session. I will be in the rally in Tally supporting teachers the 13th and the 14th, and staff trying to represent what needs to be done. And I sure hope there will not be any retaliation for any employee that takes a personal day. The rest I'll put on Iris. But I did get to do a Head Start tour, which to some of my schools. Amazing things are happening in those classrooms. Head Start is just amazing. And I hope we can continue to fund that. I got to do Great American Teach-In at Sykes. I got to do science. That was awesome. I had 4 classes, I think, packed in one portable. That has to be the most kids I've ever taught at one time, except at Bartow High School. Got to do a door contest at George Jenkins. I tell you what, Tom Patton is what a leader. We walked around. He challenged his folks to do these doors that would show their curriculum and how it would be used in life. And you would not believe the doors. It was amazing. Mr. Townley's door was very nice, but I don't think he won. I don't know. But anyways, it was just really, really cool. We did the Education Summit in Winter Haven with a bunch of groups. Actually, that was not the last time I saw Miss Wanda, but she was there and gave a rousing speech, even as sick as she was, because she was that kind of advocate for public education. I got to do the Just Say No parade. Oh, my goodness. And we ended up at BEA, and Chris Roberts gave this great speech. It was just awesome. I do hope you watch the work session. The behavior supports that Mr. Hill and Superintendent Byrd and that group has put together. I know it's a work in progress, and I know I'll probably hear negativity, but it's more than what we were doing before. And at least we're looking at individual cases, not just a big group. So please watch that. Have a happy, happy holiday. And it's just another reason why I'm going to keep saying it until people believe it. Polk County and our public schools always just do it better every single day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fortney, and you're absolutely correct. Mr. Townsend? Thank you.
Couple of things. First is related to the FSBA meeting, and right at the very, very end, the Florida School Board Association put out a statement endorsing the governor's $47,000 $500 base pay for teachers, sort of a minimum salary plan. That salary plan doesn't do anything for existing teachers. It doesn't do anything for our folks who do the hard work of being electricians or painters. I think that was a terrible mistake. The FSBA, near as I could tell, didn't really consult with anybody. It was a couple of leaders. What I would like, I personally do not endorse that plan. There's some talk floating around of just increasing the money so that everybody can get a raise. Teachers, everybody. That's what I'd like to see. So I would like to encourage the board to make it clear that what we support is a broad-based funding increase that allows us to give significant raises to everyone from the state, rather than a $47,000 $500 floor for teachers that don't exist yet. And can I move that as a resolution? What's the right way to do that? Like just a
One good way of doing it would be to direct the preparation of a resolution that could be adopted and spread upon the record.
Okay.
And we could have that ready for you at the January board meeting.
And the January board meeting is what day?
Is the, no, we don't vote on the 28th.
Yeah, yeah,
28th.
that's going to be too late. Can we authorize the creation of a statement around broad-based funding increases that allow salary increases for all educational employees? Is that something that everybody's comfortable with?
Well, Ms. Byrd, can you weigh in?
So you're asking if we can authorize just creating where it's all equal? I'm trying to follow.
I mean,
Beginning.
the actual mechanism would be to pump money into the BSA. I'm just trying to simplify it for public consumption. We're all members of the FSBA.
Right.
As far as anybody knows, anybody in the crowd, we all support a very narrow $47,000 500 gimmick that's going to set $600 million on fire and not do anything to help
Veteran
teacher
teachers.
turnover or anything. I would rather us be on record as a board if we're staff that for broader based raises. Is that?
Madam Chair, I'd like to have the finance, either Mr. Perone or Mr.
Sure,
Pitts come forward.
please, yes, please, if you would. I mean, I know we have something in our legislative priorities to that effect. Yeah.
I think what Mr. Townsend's asking for is just not setting aside kind of a mandate on funding. If they're going to give the district $16 million to cover the cost of all teachers to get to 47, just give us the 16 and we decide.
We'll figure
Yeah.
I think that basically is what he's.
This really has nothing to do with us. It's telling the legislature. Right, that we would prefer broad-based funding, not a very narrow plan for.
I don't know if that comes from.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really
administration
a
or the
finance
board.
question. Yeah, it's
Right,
not really
yeah.
a finance question. It's a political question.
Yeah.
it'll require a resolution that we do it.
We could certainly do a resolution. You could also, as constituent members of FSBA, each of you are members.
Correct.
And you can communicate individually with FSBA to express
I have.
your support for that. Why am I not surprised?
That's been communicated individually.
Okay.
But certainly
Or-
that's something that each board member could do as well, and without violating the sunshine.
Okay. Or would you like us to prepare a letter to go to them from all of us?
Yeah, I like that.
That we could maybe present at the January 14th work session to discuss, make sure the language is
Sure.
correct, and then we all sign it. That way
Sure.
we have something on record.
Except
right?
what Ms. There may be a problem with that because of some of us going to Tallahassee for the
Oh.
rallies. But what is less important? I mean the precise
sign
form.
it
I mean, can we direct the creation of not supporting, or can we direct support? Draft something that says we
Yes.
support broad-based
Yes.
relief from the legislature.
I think what we need to do, though, is get a consensus that we want to do that, and then we can draft something up for everybody's review. Am I on the right page,
And-
everybody?
And
Everybody-
Madam Chair, not
Yes.
to cloudy the water or make things difficult, but you've already got a work session scheduled for that day.
Right.
There's nothing that would prohibit you from calling at the same time a special board meeting where you could take action on that.
There we go, we can do that, too, either way.
So I'll coordinate with the superintendent's office and prepare a proposed document for that
Document,
purpose.
thank you.
And we'll have it ready for the
Thank
for the
you.
work session on the 13th.
And I'm suggesting like a paragraph here. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be.
We'll
Oration.
We will make it
Right.
beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
Just for you.
All right. And then we discussed this somewhat contentiously at the work session this morning. I want to take a moment to sort of explain to the public and explain to the superintendent a bit why I thought the decision to take the trip to the anti-public school conference that she took was such a problem. I'm going to do that by and I'm not entirely, I mean, I really don't know what the superintendent's intent was. She may not have known any of this, but I'm going to introduce everybody here, and I want to do it on the record in the public, to a woman named Kate Wallace. She's working for, she's a sort of a lifetime influencer. She's a professional. She worked for Jeb Bush's foundation for a long time as a public engagement person, and then she went to work for a cable association in public affairs. She's essentially a lobbyist. I don't know if she's officially a registered lobbyist or not, but she influences public opinion and people for a living. That's what she does. She despises public education. She mocks teachers. She's, I've had voluminous correspondence with her, all of which has been debate, in which I've been on the side of trying to, I've been on the side of trying to convince her to change her approach to how Florida does things. I'm going to let her speak in her own words. I've got the tape from the July Board of Education meeting that was held at the Polk State College. Several of us, Ms. Fortney and myself, attended and spoke in defense of public education and of teachers, and in criticism of the way Florida has dehumanized the entire approach to education for 20 years. Ms. Yoakum spoke, I believe, too. The clip you're gonna see is Ms. Wallace responding to us, and she is in town. She moved back to Polk County about 9 months ago. I think she grew up in Bartow. And she's working for a group called Lakeland Leads, which is really a couple of rich guys who are writing checks. Those guys also don't like public education. I think they think it's a welfare program. I'm sure they're going to be tied into some sort of for-profit charter school venture here soon. And she has relevance in the community because they're writing her checks. And so here's what she had to say about Polk County and public education.
One more public comment card from Ms. Kate Wallace. Bless you.
Hi, Chair Johnson, Commissioner, Board, thank you for being here. Welcome to Polk County. I'd just like to share that I am a Bartow native. I was born and raised in Bartow. I'm a product of these schools. The experience for me was I went to Gibbon Street Elementary, which is now closed because it was a struggling school in a historically low-income part of Bartow. And then I went to a high-achieving Magnet Middle School. I also went to Bartow Middle, which has been a struggling school, but lately due to fine leadership under its current principal, it's on the up and up. And then I went to the International Baccalaureate School at Bartow, which back when it was getting its own school grade from its founding in 1995 until, 99 would have been the first school grades, but I think they got merged back in with the traditional school. But back when we were getting our own school grade, I think we were the #1 or #2 school in the state. So I've seen the whole gamut, and I'm a big believer. I just wanted to say that there are a number of people and residents and business leaders and parents who do not agree for 1 second with some of the testimony you've heard from Polk County residents today, that believe in data-driven decision-making, that believe in robust choice for families, that believe that wealthier people should not be the only ones who have the right to choice when it comes to picking the best options for their families. And also Polk County, we are a prideful part of this state. We have rich history. We've produced a lot of politicians. We have phosphate, citrus, all these rich parts of commodities. And I think we have a lot of pride about our athletics. We have a lot of pride about the things we achieve, but I think a dark spot for our community has been being a perpetual bottom feeder district academically. And a lot of us want to change that, and we know that we're capable of that, and we just appreciate. And I will just say, that but for A through F school grading and the provisions that trigger, we wouldn't even be having conversations about how to turn around McLaughlin. That was not happening prior to A through F school grading, and we would have just let them continue to fail and all the other schools continue to fail. So I'm appreciative of the process. It's not perfect, but I'm glad that the public is having conversations about how to stop failure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace.
That's who paid for the superintendent trip. That's who the superintendent flew out to California with. I mean, as far as I know, she said, I haven't gotten a direct accounting. Kate made the point and said we, as if she was going to be with her all the time. In having that trip, Ms. Wallace, who is a professional influencer, bought more access to the superintendent face-to-face probably than I've had since my election. I wasn't out there in California, so I don't know how much time she spent with her. Ms. Wallace talks about data. The conference they attended was put on by Excel and Ed, which is Jeb Bush's foundation. They are the people who have created the test and punish model, where a kid is no more than what their test scores say they are. And doing that, if you look at the actual data over years, has caused Florida to have the worst test score growth of any state in America. Chasing badly designed, harmful tests hurts your data. The longer a child is in the Florida model, the worse they do relative to the rest of the country on tests, which is nuts because of how much time we spend testing them. We talked a lot this morning. Well, let me step back too. The timing of this trip was really bad too, because as someone mentioned, we had a summit during Ms. Bird's trip with a whole bunch of stakeholders who are fighting every day on the ground to try to hold together and build a humane education system. That summit is where I saw Wanda Howard for the last time. She was there fighting till the end. I have great admiration for her. That summit was put on by the PTA, by the NAACP, by the FEA and ASME, who represent our employees. Whether Ms. Bird intended to or not, she chose that woman who thinks who thinks you're all bottom feeders, over the people who gave up their night to try to enhance what we're doing every day. That's a problem, and it's a morale problem. Again, I'm just going to say this once and get it over with. I'm not going to continue to revisit it. But it was a very troubling statement of priorities, and this group, the folks that put this conference on, the folks that are paying for Kate Wallace, they're who's responsible for the fact that we have a booming economy in Florida that can't afford to pay our people. They do that intentionally. They're trying to bleed you to death. Mrs. Bird really shouldn't be going to hang out with them, or if she's going, she should be making it very, very clear that she's here to fight them or to debate them or to make it clear the importance of them understanding much, much better what's going on here. And I didn't see any effort in that way made. And finally, we have a really interesting, weird thing in education. There's a giant disconnect in the experience that the voters seem to want. Like, they keep voting for people on the ground, like me, like Ms. Fortney, like others who talk about the humanity of kids, who talk about reducing our testing, who talk about making these things humane, who talk about individual human development.
but that's not what the leadership class of education is delivering. And, you know, we have to be clear to our leadership class, and I'm talking mostly about Tallahassee folks here, where the power dwells, that they need to change their incentives here. We're not going to do that by kind of hanging out with them and going on quiet trips with them. You know, it's important for them to know where we stand as a group. And, you know, I heard Kate Wallace say that live, that bottom feeder thing. You know, a district is its people. It's not its buildings. It's not its geography. It's its human beings. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're white, green, black, gay, straight, trans, right wing, left wing. You deserve to be treated like a human being with respect and have your development matter. Your human development matter. And I will fight anybody at any place to make sure that is the priority that we are following, because none of you are bottom feeders. None of you. If Kate Wallace stays here and has kids and they go to school here, I promise you I'll never refer to her kids as bottom feeders. My kids have been here for 20 years. You know, my family has been here for 20 years. I'm not a bottom feeder. I'm not going to have any time for that kind of approach. And so I've said my piece on this. We'll move forward. And I want to be clear. You know, we have been doing really well up until this point. You know, I think collaboration had been improving. I think that's what voters want. I think they want collaboration. And, you know, this was an unfortunate event. And I think it's important that the folks understand why it's an unfortunate event. And hopefully we can move forward from here and be done with it. So thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Mr. Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I talked about this a little bit in the work session this afternoon. First of all, I do think as a public official, the superintendent has a responsibility to provide a report when returning from any kind of a meeting. All of us do. And she did that at today's work session. I'm confident she'll issue something further. I agree with Mr. Townsend as it relates to the Jeb Bush Foundation. I like Jeb Bush as governor, but he's wrong on the issue of education. And it's unfortunate that they now have a massive foundation that is so influential, has so much influence over education throughout our country. You know, I attended one of those meetings, one of those conferences, I should say, in 2014, and it was a good thing for me to do. It was good for me to go and see what they were saying. First of all, they were pushing choice. That's all they pushed. They didn't say why it's important or how it's important. And by the way, I believe in choice. Let me be clear about that. But I think there has to be a reason for it. I think we have to have a core reason for everything that we do, not just choice for choice's sake. They were using a business model. It didn't apply to education. They were using a business model that was a business model from the 60s. In my opinion, doesn't even apply to current business. So it's outdated. It's not working. We heard Betsy DeVos a couple weeks ago, maybe a little longer than that. She said that she was terribly disappointed about what was happening in education throughout our country, and she's very concerned about that. And guess what? She's going to be listening to the Jeb Bush Foundation, and they're probably going to double down and ask for more of the same. I think it's important for us to go to that conference. I think it's important to keep the communication open, to hear what's happening, and so I support the superintendent's attendance at that conference. I think it was important for her to go. Additionally, I think that knowing what's coming down the road is important, and I think by being there, she'll have a sense of what to expect in the future. So I agree that those folks are misinformed, misguided. I don't think it's helping education in our country. I think that in the coming years, we're going to see, I don't know, something will change, and it will start with that foundation. They're going to have to make some changes there. But In the meantime, we have responsibility to be aware of what's happening, and the superintendent has responsibility to be aware of what's happening. And I think that's what happened here. I know that's what happened here. So I encourage, support what happened. And so, well, I'll conclude with that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Ms. Reynolds?
I just want to start by saying I don't think there is anyone who cares more about the humanity of our students than Superintendent Byrd. We literally, on the walk from her office, as I was talking to her, we were stopped twice because she had to stop and talk to a student, and she knew both students' names. They were from different schools. Not sure where she's met them before, but she knew both of their names. She knew one was a cheerleader, asked her how our competition went. I don't think there's anyone that cares more about our students. Secondly, it is the people, and we have some great people. If you look at the attendance of the summit that we had in Winter Haven, we had a quorum for a cabinet meeting, probably missing maybe 2 people from your normal cabinet meetings, and they were all involved, engaged, and excited to be there. I know, speaking to Stephanie afterwards, there are a lot of things I think that she's going to adjust for next year to make sure that people know and so that they can come. There were a couple conflicting events, especially in the Winter Haven area. But the summit dates, we didn't find out about the summit date until the middle of October, which at that point, the superintendent was already spoken for at a conference. And I know Stephanie recognized that and was very gracious in her comments with us afterwards. And also indicated that some of their own FEA members were attending the summit. I do think it's important that the superintendent's in the room where it's happening. We want to make sure that she knows what's coming down the pipe because it's coming whether we like it or not. So we can either be in the room where they're making decisions and where she gets a voice and that she can come back and say, hey, this is what we got to do to combat this, or we can wait until it happens to us. So I think the superintendent made the correct decision to go. I think that's probably not what she would have liked to have done. She probably would have much rather been in a kindergarten classroom. But I think that she went and was in the room that she needed to be in to make things happen. And I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Ms. Fields?
Well, Ms. Reynolds pretty much took my thunder. Sorry. No, you're fine. But I would say, I would agree with you that Ms. Byrd is our strongest advocate and ambassador for our school district. And I know and I believe with all my heart that she has the best interest of the school district and more than anything, the best interest of the students at heart. And I support Ms. Byrd attending this conference and any other conference that she feels is going to make her a better person and make her a better leader for our school district. And I trust her to make the best decision. And as Mr. Wilson said, she came today and she explained her purpose in going and what she was able to accomplish and what she's going to do with what she was able to learn from others. And I think others always talk about relationships. She's trying to build relationships. She's trying to sit at the table and help us to become a better district than we are currently. And the last thing that I want to say, and maybe today would not be the day to discuss it, Madam Chair, I think we need to talk about comments. And I think that we need to maybe put some type of limit on the amount of time that we have comments. And that we need to have our comments at the very end, because we're having people to come and sit through all of our comments. Like Ms. Shelton's been sitting here patiently for a while, and she wants to talk about her issues. So I don't know when we want to do this, but at some point in time, I think we need to have that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. And yeah, I've had several to ask me through the years, you know, we give the audience 3 minutes and then we're up here for 10. So yeah, that is a discussion maybe that we can bring in a work session and us maybe revise that as we see fit as a group. So thank you so much for your comments, Ms. Fields. Ms. Fortney.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, if you look at the work session, I never questioned why Superintendent Byrd went, because I felt like that's what we are as educators. We go to learn stuff. But my constituents hundreds of them, all they saw was Jeb Bush's name. And I think that's what I had to deal with and what that has meant to public schools. So her report today, I again encourage everybody to watch the work session. My biggest fear was that somebody would hire her out from under us while she was there. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fortney. Ms. Miller?
Second comments, right, Madam
Yes.
Chair? No, I want to, we talked about messaging at the work session and how things are messaged, and we desperately need to work on that as a district to the public, because again, Fortney and I don't know why the same 100 people are calling me as well. We have to work on our messaging, and that's part of people understanding why things are happening and being transparent, and I think we've improved in that, but a lot of what went on, I think, is because we just need to work on how we tell the public. But you're right. I think that it's only fair for us to be able to share, and I appreciate the report that was given. And again, please watch the work session. These meetings are just for your enjoyment. The real work is done there.
Good point. Thank you, Ms. Miller. Okay, now I get a chance to do a couple reports. I'll be brief, I promise. First of all, I would like to announce our board committee assignments for the 1920 year. And once again, I did disseminate this information today at work session to all of the board members, but I want to go ahead and read it into public record for tonight. So our committee assignments are as follows. To the Audit Committee will be Billy Townsend. Central Florida Public School Boards Coalition, Ms. Kay Fields. Polk County Head Start, Sarah Fortney. Polk Education Foundation Board of Directors, and this is the one that rotates by district every year, and it'll be Miss Sarah Fortney, District 3 this year. Polk Vision Liaison will be Sarah Beth Reynolds, and this is going to be, these are 2-year terms is what they have asked for with Polk Vision, so this will be Miss Reynolds' second year fulfilling her term. Sales Tax Oversight Committee will be Lisa Miller and Billy Townsend as the alternate. And we have 2 others. We have FSBA, but those come up in May because those are appointed beginning July 1. But for tonight, we've got the Polk Vision Board of Directors, which we already voted on. Once again, it's a 2-year term, and it'll be Lynn Wilson, and this is his second year on that board. And then we have the Value Adjustment Board, and we have Lynn Wilson as the member and Billy Townsend as the alternate. So I just wanted to read that into the record and thank everybody and all the board members for your support and your work as we go forward this year. I have a few more things. Just quickly, I also want to commend Ms. Usher and the entire facilities team, Ms. Rachel Pleasant and the entire marketing team for the groundbreaking that we had at the new high school located up in Davenport next to Davenport School of the Arts. I've been to a lot of groundbreakings in my years, and I got to tell you, it's one of the nicest ones I feel that we've ever put on because we had students there, we had singers, we had a choral group, we had just kids, it seemed like kids everywhere performing, and we had a great response from the community. And I thought Ms. Bird had a wonderful message to everybody, how exciting it is for the growth that we're experiencing in that area. And so if you get a chance and you go on, what is it, County Road, is it 547? And you get a chance to drive by there, wow, lots of dirt is being moved. But we're very blessed to be in a position that you, the taxpayers, voted for the 1-cent, half-cent sales tax increase in 2018, which has enabled us, in fact, to put funding where we desperately need it. The other 2 high schools are more than over capacity. Ridge is holding, from just meeting with him last week, at 3,300, and Haines City High School at 2,700. It's just crazy. So we're hoping and praying that we'll be able to get the school built in time for the opening of August of 2021. I realize that maybe some surrounding area and playfields and things may not be completely ready, but if we can at least have our buildings intact where our kids have a place to go, it'll be huge. So The community's very excited, and I just want to say thank you because it was a wonderful, groundbreaking event for our public school district. I also want to recognize Mr. Jason Pitts for being an awesome employee and valued member of this wonderful team that we have here in Polk County. I can't tell you all the number of times that I've called him and asked for clarification, for questions. I've asked him to come with me to meetings. When we were doing sales tax, he accompanied me to several different meetings so that as they had particular financial questions, someone was there that could truly answer it in a very simple language that people can understand. He does great PowerPoint presentations and just always has made himself available, and you will be sorely missed. But we wish you the very best and congratulations on the next chapter in your life. And please stay in touch because you will sorely be missed. I also want to say thank you so much. Our staff's incredible. I was just so blessed today that we had such a nice little holiday get-together in our office, and I have to thank Susan Warbington and Linda Baldick for all of their help and coordination and taking the time and effort to put together such a wonderful time for our board members and some staff. I thought it was really great, and I know how hard you work. And you've been such a valuable asset to me as I transitioned into this new position. So thank you for all of your help over the past few weeks. It's meant a lot. And then I want to wish everybody, obviously, a very merry and blessed Christmas. And to those of you that celebrate a different holiday, enjoy your time with your family and friends. And I wish many blessings upon each of you. And as I always tell the kids before we leave on a break, read, read, read. With all the reading initiatives that we have in this county, there is no reason that your children can't get books to read over the holidays. And reading together as a family is so enriching and makes such an impact on your children. So with that, I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to our teachers and all of our faculty and staff across Polk County schools. Okay, the next item on our agenda is our public comments addressing items that are not on the agenda. And Ms. Shelton, yes, you have been so patient with us. Yes, thank you for understanding. If you'd like to please come forward, then please state your name, address, and your affiliation for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Leslie Shelton. I live here in Lakeland, just off of 548. Good evening. My name is Leslie, and I'm here on behalf of my son, who is a student at Central Florida Aerospace Academy. I stand before you this evening to ask you to advocate for my son's education, not only in Polk County, but to the lasting and reaching effects for him going on to college. He intends to study aerospace engineering, was to enter the U.S. Air Force Academy, which is not happening at this moment, but he wants to be a career officer in the Air Force. My son is a National Honor Student participant. He's currently dual enrolled at Polk State and Embry-Riddle. He is a 4-year participant in the ROTC program at Central Florida Aerospace and currently serves as a student judge advocate there, as well as drum corps line for parades and such. He was placed in the medical homebound program in the second semester of last year. Present at this initial staff meeting was his AP calculus instructor, who suggested that my son drop AP calculus at that time and just do the recovery, get the grade for a first semester and move on. During the first quarter of last year, he had approaching a B. He was just shy of a B. It began to slip with his medical condition. In fact, his grade for second quarter was a 33. That's never happened. He's been in honors program since first grade. So we moved forward. All of the AP Calculus homework and assignments that were given to Joshua were in fact completed, done, and turned in a timely fashion during the time which they were afforded to him during the medical homebound program, as well as first quarter recovery or first semester recovery. To date, this instructor has not recorded those grades. That work has in fact given Joshua an F for first semester of calculus. You can understand how upsetting this is to Joshua as well as myself. I have close to 40 pages of emails between myself and this instructor during this entire program to try to get this on the ball and stay on track for Joshua. I then followed what I believe to be the correct course of action, moving forward, pleading for positive resolution, up to and including a meeting with the AP, the school board, my family of rep. Mr. Sean was there as well. Buddy Thomas was there representing the school board. The teacher was the only person who didn't come to that meeting. He did step into the conference room midway through the program. I turned around, there he was. He saw who was in the classroom, or in this boardroom, stepped out, walked away. I was the only individual who asked him to come back, which he did not do. The instructor, for whatever reason, I'm not sure what it is, has not participated nor been instructed to participate in any sort of resolution, but rather remarked to Buddy Thomas. After Buddy spoke with him, he remarked that this would be a tough lesson for my son to learn, even though it directly affected his college career. So, as a result of this grade, my son's application to the Air Force Academy is no. He didn't even try to apply to the Naval Academy. We just let that go.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shelton. What I think we need to do is ask you to meet with Dr. Akes. I believe he's already standing in the back there. Pardon me? Mr. Hill, you already on it?
I've had the pleasure of talking with Ms. Shelton. We've been working together, and we'll be meeting tomorrow, so I'll be glad to meet with her after.
Okay, all right. If you all could do that, that would be so appreciated. And thank you for taking the time and for caring about your child to come and advocate, because we've got a lot of kids in this district, so thank you for that. You too, and have a Merry Christmas. Thank you. Next, I have Stephanie Yoakum. I think you know the drill, right? Okay. I don't have to repeat it.
I'm getting better every time.
I love it.
Stephanie Yoakum. I live in Lakeland. I represent the Polk Education Association. First and foremost, I want to thank the majority of the board and staff for coming out with our community summit. It was an awesome night, and I cannot wait to have another one. We had some really productive conversation, and if you weren't able to attend, I did send you the link to the Padlet when I sent I think maybe if I didn't, I'll send it to you so you can see the conversation that we had that night. And that kind of leads me into my next thing, January 13th. We are encouraging our folks to take a personal day. It is a permissive leave of absence. We are lobbying our legislators for all of us. This is going to help all of us. This is our time, and we want you on our side. Preferably, we want you on the bus with us. So if you want more information on how to get on the bus with us, please contact me, and I would be more than happy to help you guys get on the bus with us. So I wanted to spend my remaining 2 minutes or so of why are we going? And this kind of ties in with your association's endorsement of the governor's proposal, whether you agree with it or not. I hope you don't, and I hope you make your correspondence to that public. But do you think it's fair that hundreds of thousands of students are in classrooms with substitutes because the districts cannot find teachers for a class? If you don't, you need to be in Tallahassee with us on the 13th. If you like the governor's plan to pay teachers more, in their first year, but veteran teachers nothing, then stay at home on January 13th. But if you do not agree with this, and you think that failed bonus schemes are not the way to go and that you want increases to the base student allocation, get on the bus with us January 13th. Florida teachers rank 47th in the nation in teacher pay, and nearly 50% of our education staff professionals earn a poverty wage. That's across the state. If this bothers you, you need to be on the bus with us to Tallahassee on January 13th. If you think school counselors, school psychologists, and school social workers should be testing or covering lunchroom because of the lack of employees rather than helping kids, then there's no need for you to be in Tallahassee that day. However, if you think we need more counselors, psychologists, and social workers to truly meet the mental health needs of our students, then you need to be with us in Tallahassee on January 13th. This is our time in Florida to let our legislators know that this is not acceptable, the amount of funding that we get, or the lack thereof, because there really is no amount. We cannot go through another bargaining session with no money on the table. You cannot afford to lose employees at the rate that you're losing them. We've got to do something, guys. And I hope that you join us on January 13th.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming tonight and speaking. Now, I think this gentleman already spoke. Mr. Egg, are you good? I'll yield mine. You'll yield yours? Okay. And Mr. Lightsey, I believe he's already spoken as well. Okay, is there anybody else that's here this evening that would like to come up and speak? Yes, sir.
Larry Milhorn, President of ASME Local 2227. I just want to wish you all Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I know that all the board members, Superintendent and Mr. Hill, we sent out invitations for our party this weekend at Westwood Middle School. Hope to see y'all there. Madam Chair, I want to congratulate you for becoming the chair. And I understand the reason why you can't be there, but we wish you could be there with us. But I do want to re-extend my invitation to y'all to be there, and I hope to see you Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Milhorn, what time is that on Saturday?
If you get there around 10, we'll probably be good. Our meeting starts at 9:30. We got some constitutional stuff we got to take care of before we start the party, so, okay, thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you speaking. Anyone else? Bishop Mincy, come on up.
Time for us to go to. Good evening, Bishop Willie Mincy. I just want to say, Pastor True of this Tabernacle in Haven, I want to say to every one of you board members and all of us in here, make sure your motives is right. Make sure your motives is right. If you ain't got the right motives, it's going to come back to haunt you somewhere. As you walk life's journey, if you don't do people right, it comes back. Don't be deceived, because God is not mocked. Whatever you sow, you're going to reap. So all I'm saying to all of us, think about the things we do. And sometimes there are people in life, I know people hate certain people, don't like certain people, but we got to look at it totally and think about there may be somebody that you don't like or something they done you don't like, but you don't have to give an account to but only what you do, not what somebody else do. I heard the talk about Mr. Bush. I may not like him. I don't like a lot of people. But whatever he done, he going to have to give an account of. He going to walk and meet his maker one day, and he going to have to answer to the call for whatever he's done. So our thing is, as we know, and what we are trying to do is to make Polk County, that's my prayer every day. As I pray for all y'all, call y'all name. I call your name by your name. Individually, I say something to the Lord about you. Each and every day I pray, because I know you need each other. I told you this some time ago. Together you stand, and divided you're going to fall. A house divided against itself cannot stand. If you don't support the woman that you hired, you can get ready for this district to go into total chaos. No weapon that is formed against her is going to prosper. And every tongue that rises against her is already condemned in the judgment. So all I'm saying, think about what you do. Look at what you do, and remember, if we're going to be successful, you got to do it together. Got to work together. Catch the vision. Amen. Because everybody don't have all of the things. All of us got something we bring to the day. But catch the vision. Amen. My pastor told me years ago, if you don't catch the vision, there's going to be a division. And that is things that are happening, and our district don't need to be divided. It needs to stand together so that we can accomplish all of the things that we want to accomplish. And it can.
Yes, thank you, Bishop Mincy. Appreciate it. And I just want to say and leave everybody with one thing, that you know what they say, and Merry Christmas to you too. If you can be one thing this Christmas season, be kind. and spread that to your family, your friends, your neighbors, and the people that you work with. God bless everybody, and I believe our meeting is now adjourned.